How's it going, guys? Jake here. Welcome back to Dude Ranch DIY. I regret to tell you that I am currently at the gas pump, and I don't know if you can see behind me, but diesel is $5.37 a gallon. This is getting pretty ridiculous. Let me know in the comments what gas and diesel is down by you guys. I'd be curious to know. Well, not down by you guys, wherever you guys are located. But basically today it is a Sunday morning, and I got the SureTrack dump trailer hooked up behind me, and we are going to pick up a large sugar maple log and bring it to the sawmill. So we're going to be driving down. Apparently the homeowner who owns the log had the tree taken down sometime last week. The big trunk log, he says, is about 30 to 32 inches in diameter, about 12 feet long. It's up on like a little retaining wall kind of thing, kind of in a sketchy four-way intersection with stop signs all around. So we're gonna have to probably be sticking out into the middle of the road, but hopefully we can snag this log pretty quick with the log arch, haul it down to the sawmill, and go on with our day. So we'll check back in once we get down there. Okay guys, so since this job was kind of in a sketchy area, you can kind of see this big intersection that I'm pulling into right now. I didn't do much as far as moving the cameras around and stuff. I was just focused on getting the log hooked up and in the trailer as quickly as possible. The gentleman down on the left is the homeowner, and he was gracious enough to help me direct traffic, and as you can see, back me up to this little stone retaining wall that I'm going to slide the log over. So this is going to be a little bit different than a normal video. I'm just going to kind of narrate along, kind of explaining what I'm doing. I think that'll give you better insight as to how this whole log arch thing works anyway. Some people have requested that I, kind of get a little bit more in-depth as far as detail goes on how this thing works. So here we go. So after getting the trailer into position where I wanted it, I just pulled the log tongs and the snatch block out of the underbody storage of the trailer, and I'm going to be hooking the snatch block up to the big shackles that I have mounted on the log arch. So there's a few things that I'd like to do eventually at some point to this trailer that I just haven't gotten around to since building it, and the biggest thing is the winch. It's a 10,000 pound winch, and it's pulled everything that I've ever asked it to pull, but unfortunately I got it secondhand off of a friend for the price was right, but unfortunately the free spool functionality of it doesn't work very well, especially in cold temperatures. You can see here I'm manually feeding it out. Just literally pressing the controller to feed out winch cable. So not only does it take a lot longer than just pulling it out, using the free spool functionality, but it's also using up extra battery unnecessarily. So that's something I'd like to address in the future. But for now, it works, and it really pulls really well. So now I'm going to take the cable, or the synthetic winch rope, and feed it up into the snatch block, and we will start to pull the log. So now I'm looking for a good spot to put the winch rope down under and around the log, just to initially break it free from the ground. It's out of camera where I ended up finding a spot where it was up off the ground enough to fit the hook through. But it was more towards the middle of the log, which actually worked pretty well because I was anticipating that the log was going to be a little bit frozen to the ground. You can see we had some snow the night before, but I did manage to get it fed under and hooked onto itself, and we are going to go through the process of breaking it free from the ground. So now that I have the log hooked up to the rope,
can see, I'm starting to put some pressure on it with the winch. Now I do have my wheels of the truck chocked and the parking brake set. It's not in actual park just because sometimes this winch puts quite a bit of stress on the transmission, but as you can see here, we just broke the log free and it's starting to move. So now that I was able to initially move the log, you can see I just grabbed the PV and I'm kind of digging out some of the dirt underneath the front end of it. That way I can fit one of my straps through so I don't have to use the synthetic winch rope, to be dragging along the ground and then eventually across the rocks, the stone wall. So you'll see me tilting up the trailer right here, going to grab the strap that I forgot to pull out initially. It's really nice having that underbody storage because it's nice and secure, and two, it keeps everything dry and just right at hand. I'm able to store all my tools from log tongs to snatch blocks to, synthetic straps, crane like rigging, wire, rope, and stuff like that. Everything that I need is underneath the trailer there, which is a really nice feature that SureTrack adds to these trailers. So now I'm feeding the strap under and I'm going to attach the synthetic winch rope to the strap and we'll suck the log in. Okay, now that I have my synthetic strap and the rope and hook and everything situated the way I wanted, I'm now going to deploy the rear stabilizer legs that I have tucked up in the back of my SureTrack dump trailer. When I'm using this log arch and winch setup, as you can imagine, it puts an awful lot of extra stress and weight on the rear of the trailer, which then gets translated up to the tongue and the hitch section of the pintle on my truck. So by putting these rear stabilizer legs down, it just absorbs some of that extra stress and takes it off the hitch system of the truck and translates it down into the ground. Other uses I've used these legs for is for like loading equipment or something, if you're on uneven terrain, or if you want just the trailer to be stabilized without being hooked up to a truck for loading or unloading purposes. So now that I have those deployed, I'm going to start tensioning up the arch and we will see this log start to move. So as you can see here, the winch and whole setup moves the log with relative ease. Now this is a sugar maple log. It's about 12 or 13 feet long. I quickly plugged it into a calculator. I didn't take any exact measurements, but it weighs in right around like 4,000 to 5,000 pounds, or I'm sorry, 4 to 4,200 pounds, I believe. So it's not the biggest log by any means, but it's definitely a good weight. It's sugar maple, so it's nice and hard and heavy. Lots of knots in it, which add to the weight as well. You'll see I just took one of the little pie cuts out that the tree company left behind and placed it underneath the front of the log. That's just so that I can take the stress off the cable and rope and let the log down. And I'm going to take my strap out and just choke the log simply with the rope itself now that it's up off the ground. That way I can get a longer pull with less slack in the system essentially. So you can see I'm feeding just the synthetic rope underneath the log, and from here on out the rope itself is not going to make any contact with the ground or the rocks or anything, just simply because it's going to get pulled up to the block, and then I'm going to let it down and pull the log straight into the trailer. So the hard part's basically done at this point. The retaining wall helped alleviate basically the hardest part of every pull is getting that front edge of the log up onto the back of the trailer. So you can see here it's just pulling itself basically right into the trailer, which is exactly what we want. Okay, so now that the front of the log is up and centered over the back of the trailer, I'm taking the snatch block off here, and we're just going to suck the log in the rest of the way. Now, I did warn the homeowner that some of the rocks of his retaining wall would probably get displaced in pulling this log into the trailer, and he said that that was all right. Some of them definitely did get knocked down, and I helped him rebuild the wall and put it all back together as best as we could. But unfortunately, just with the location of where the log was and the size of it, it was kind of a little bit unavoidable to knock off some of those rocks in that little section there. But as you can see, the winch pulls the log in with relative ease here, and once the back of the log clears the back of the trailer, we're basically done and ready to go.
All right, guys, as you can see, we got the log loaded in. Relatively little issue. Knocked down a little bit of the wall, but I notified the homeowner that would probably happen. There's a big nub on the bottom. So next stop, Sawmill. Well, all right, guys, we are on the highway with the log in tow. All in all, that went really smoothly. It could have, I've run into in the past when it gets this cold, it's about 26 degrees right now. When I left the house this morning, it was like 19. Sometimes these logs get frozen to the ground, especially if they were taken down when it was a nice warm day like we have been having. So luckily the winch was able to break free whatever frost and ice had accumulated, and we were able to snatch it in with relative ease, get it into the back of the trailer, and we're bringing it to the sawmill now. So we'll check back in when we get to the sawmill. I'll show you around there, and that'll be it. Well, all right, guys, we made it here to the mill. As you can see, there are some massive slabs here, all different types of logs. Here's the mill that he's got. It's an Oscar 52, I believe by Hudson Forestry Equipment. Yeah, Hudson. On here right now, he's actually got a couple sycamore logs that I brought him, and he said I could take 2 of the slabs off this one that he already milled up. So once I get this log dumped, we'll load up 2 of those sycamore slabs, and I'll be able to make something out of those in about 2 years once they're dry. But for now, we're going to unstrap the log and get her dumped. Well, guys, that's a wrap. We got this nice sugar maple log delivered here today. I forgot to ask the homeowner what his plans were for it once he gets his his slabbed out lumber. I believe they're just making live edge slabs out of it. It's got a lot of knots and stuff, so whatever he ends up doing with it, I'm sure it'll be beautiful, but it's gonna have a lot of character with all those knots and you know, old branches coming out everywhere. It should should have some great coloration, as well as just character from all of the you know, the lines, I guess, growth rings. So that'll be cool to see. I'd like to get some pictures when it is all milled up, and maybe I'll be able to post those in like an update video or something. But for now, that's it. I am going to, the guy with the sawmill has a website and an Instagram. He makes awesome, really beautiful, super high-end, custom, you know, slab tables and all different types of furniture and stuff. It's called Northeast Hardwoods. He has an Instagram, as well as a gallery up in Rhode Island. But I will put a link to his website down in the description, or maybe even below on the screen. You can check out what some of this stuff looks like in its final form after he's done with it. He has a team of really talented woodworkers that finish up all this stuff and have specialized equipment to take care of some of these huge pieces of wood, as you see here. So for right now, that's gonna be it. Hope you guys enjoyed seeing, you know, me pull on this big sugar maple log here. I have a lot of fun doing this stuff. Hope you guys like watching it. But for now, if you like the video, give us a big thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, click that subscribe button down below. I'd greatly appreciate it. Questions, comments, or feedback, throw it down in the comments section. But for now, I'm Jake. This is Dude Ranch DIY. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you here next time.